Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Fawn if you're new here, and I post lifestyle videos every Wednesday. Today I have for you a new series on my channel. It's all about teaching abroad. Yeah, I guess not studying abroad, huh? It's all about, teaching ESL abroad and like how I got into it. I mean, well, how to start the application process, the visa process, which was like a really hard long process that it seems easy. There's only like 3 simple steps, but it turns out to be really hard and long. And also like just tips for if you're coming to China, or mostly tips for if you're coming to China, because teaching in China is much different from teaching in other places like maybe Korea, Thailand, just because, like, you know what, China is a country of its own. You know, they have this Great Wall and they're just blocked out from everyone else. And China, there are some tips like that you really need for teaching in China specifically, especially with like VPN and, you know, internet access and stuff like that. So that's what this series is going to be about. But for this first episode, I'm going to talk about basically how to start. Yes, I got started. I was on my school's website. I'm representing my school right now in wearing my alma mater sweatshirt. But yeah, so I was on my school's website, and I was, you know, I just graduated from college and was looking for a job like any post-grad does, and you know, I couldn't really find one. So but I was on my school website and it's like, teach English in China, and I'm like, why the hell not? I mean it's such a crazy thing to think, but I was just like, I don't know, like, what goes through your mind when you're like, oh, let me just pack up my whole life and move to another country. But I was basically like, well, why the hell not? I have nothing better to do. So I wrote I mean, of course I can do it by myself, because I'm not that crazy. I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy that I will move across the world to another country where I don't even speak their language. I'm not gonna move it there by myself. So I like called up my friend and I'm just like, you want to teach English in China? And she's the kind of person who's down for bullshit. So, you know, she's down for my BS, and she's like, sure, why the hell not too? So yeah, that's how we got started. I just found it on my school's website on Hirebing. So yeah, you could find it however you want to find it. Just search Google for Teach English Abroad, and there's lots of searches that are going to pop up. I did mine through a recruiting company, and they were really helpful with it. So yeah, that's where mine came through from. Most of them actually are from recruiting companies. So I did mine through a recruiting company called Adventure Teaching. They're great. They just, like, when you the application process, you basically have to upload a picture of yourself. Was it passport? Maybe a passport picture, maybe. Just, you have to write your experiences like teaching. Here's what I did for this thing. You know, when you're applying for jobs that like your resume should be specific toward that job. So when I was applying for this job, I just created a new resume and just listed all of my experiences dealing with children or dealing with like teaching roles or leadership roles. So you know, I'm a person, like, if I can do it, anyone can do it, because I didn't have much experience. So I did babysitting, and I taught at a daycare during the summer one time, but I did also have like a role as a tech center assistant, and I did help people in that sense. And it's just like roles where you're helping people learn how to do something or teaching something. So or working with kids. So I gathered up all of my experiences like that, and I made a new resume. and I uploaded that, and then they gave me a call back, and then that was like the first interview in a long line of interviews. So that was the first interview just to get to know the recruiters, and that's what we did. We got to know the recruiters, and they got to know us, and then they set us up on interviews with different schools. So, okay, the first thing you have to have, remember, you have to have a resume that's specific to teaching and learning about teaching. A recent photo of you, they love that. Maybe a copy of your passport page. And I think that's it for like the first step. Oh, and here's the thing, like there are some teaching jobs in China that require, or abroad, mostly in Korea actually. If you really want to teach in Korea, you do need a TEFL. I don't know about the TEFL personally because I don't have the TEFL. This is not my end goal in life, so I didn't want to spend money on it if I was just only going to use it for a year, and I didn't need it as a requirement. And for adventure teaching, you don't need it as a requirement for the schools that they hooked me up with. Yeah, so I don't have my TEFL, but you know, even though you don't have your TEFL, and even if a school like requires a TEFL, strongly like put out your experiences. Say, I don't have a TEFL, but like I do have like lots of experience teaching and lots of experience in teaching situations, and that's good. And that like sometimes it's good enough, especially when you reach to China and you're looking for a new job. That is very helpful. So that's the situation with the TEFL. For adventure teaching, at least, you didn't need the TEFL. I didn't need the TEFL for teaching in Korea. Yeah, and that's where I started out wanting to go to Korea, but it was much harder to do Korea than it was to do China. The second thing you need is a definite requirement is your bachelor's degree. It's a new law in China that you have to have your bachelor's degree. In order to apply for the work visa, you have to have your bachelor's degree. So that's a definite requirement. If you're already like in China, you're here for school, then you're already in China, so you don't need it. But once you're outside of China, inside of America or wherever you're coming from, then you definitely need your bachelor's degree to actually get into China on a work visa, on the work visa Z. Yeah. So the only like major requirement for this, I would say, is your bachelor's degree. Your bachelor's degree. It can be in anything. Mine was in English, but my friend's was in philosophy, politics, and law. So it can be in anything. You don't need to have a degree specific toward teaching. You just need a bachelor's degree. Okay, so after you get the application, you get the recruiter. That's the easy part. That's the easy part. Literally, that is the easiest part there is. I can't stress that enough. Once you're like, oh, it's gonna be a breeze. No, it only gets harder from there. So yeah, so there's the application with the recruiter if you want to go through a recruiter. And then before I continue, I actually want to mention there's a good website. It's called echinacitiesjobs.net. I'm gonna just put it up on the screen here so you can see it. And some of them hooks you up with the school, or some of them hooks you up with a recruiter, but it's a good platform for finding jobs in China. And it has more than just teaching jobs. It has like different types of jobs you can do, so it's just a really good platform. And let's just go. Okay, so after I got in touch with the recruiter, it was time for the interview process. The interview process, I actually prepared a lot for it. I wrote down notes. I wish I had brought my notebook with you to like see the questions that I wrote down, the questions that would probably be asked and answered. And I can't remember like all the questions for the life of me. Oh, I remember like how would I discipline kids, and I don't know, just situational questions. Here's what you do. You look it up on Google, okay? Google is your best friend in this situation. Google is always your best friend. Come on. Just Google interview questions for getting a job in China, and yeah, basically that. Google interview questions for getting a job in China. I Googled it, and then I made sure I researched, you know, that tell me about yourself part, that awkward tell me about yourself part. So I also Googled the best way to answer that question. They said like, okay, so your name, your major, where you're from, and then just like, so name, major, where you're from, your teaching experiences, and why you want to move abroad. And just say that, like, something about you being adaptable, like, because moving to a whole moving to another country that's completely different from your own is like, it's challenging. Definitely want to know that you're going to be able to adapt to that lifestyle. So adaptability is your greatest asset in this case. So, you know, they don't only want to know that, oh, you can do the job, but that you're going to stick through your contract. You're going to stick through this job. So adaptability, you could stress that you're very adaptable, that you want to see the world, you want to have new adventures, and you just like, yes, just basically say you're very adaptable in this case. One of the things you're going to need for these interview process is you're going to need a Skype account. I mean, I feel like everyone has a Skype account that they made like 10 years ago, but and never use and don't use like that often anymore. But you're gonna need a Skype account because you're working with people in China, and Skype is like the only thing they have access to. If you're like interviewing with the school, you know, Skype is like their main access point. So sometimes you'll have a video chat with the employer, or sometimes you'll have a video chat with the recruiter, but Skype is just like a main point of access for where all of these calls and interviewing process is going to take place. And the last part I want to talk about in this video is, okay, so there's I talked about the how to get started, the interview process, like things you need to know, and the last bit I'm going to talk about for this whole how to get started situation is just to like schools you choose wisely. Make sure you research a good like if they give you cities that you want to be in, or if you get to choose, maybe make sure it's like what you want. I wanted a big city, but here I am in a small town. Small compared to China. It only has 600,000 people compared to the millions of people in like other bigger cities. But I didn't do, like, I just took the first thing that was offered to me, and I don't know, that wasn't wise on my part because I really struggled for my first 3 to 4 months here, but eventually I adapted. But make sure you look up your city, look up the school, go on Glassdoor, like just Google if they offer you a school. Make sure you do your research before accepting anything. Contracts, make sure you read the contract fully, and make sure you just like do all your research. Okay, research is key. Okay, I can't stress that enough, that research is key. Another thing that I want to talk about is apartments. Make sure that they're providing some place for you to live. My contract provided an apartment for us, or at least like giving you money for if they don't provide you a place, if they don't provide for you a place to live, make sure they at least provide for you money so you can rent that place to live, because you know that's a suitable contract. You can't just like move up, go to another country, and you know you're just asked out, like you're asked out with where you want to live. And if they don't give you the place to live, they give you money, and make sure they give you help at least, okay? Because I don't know, what do you know about the retail in China? I don't know anything about like good places to live in China, so make sure that they're helping you with that too. So make sure you get an apartment, make sure housing is like provided, and look at all the benefits and look at all the cons of where you're going to work, and make sure just research, read, just pay attention to details, and make sure that this is the contract that you want to take. Okay, this is going to be for the next year of your life, so make sure the situation you are going to be in is going to be the best situation for you. Okay, so I think that's it that I want to talk about for how to get started in the whole moving abroad or teaching abroad series. One more thing, if you have any more questions, if there's something that you felt that I missed in how to get started, just make sure to comment down below, and I'll just answer any of the questions that you have in the next video. For the next episode, we're going to talk about the visa process. this might be a longer video, that might be a longer video, because the visa process is hard. And you know what, I'm gonna give you all the things that I wish someone had told me when I was doing the visa process. I'm just gonna give you every help. So I want to make it for you. I want to make it as easy as possible for you to get this done without like having boatload of stress on your back like I did. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found this video helpful, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.